Hey guys, how's it going? Henry Mims, the Deafest Real Estate Agent you know, with the Spire Group at England Brokers, Melbourne Beach side. Today I'm here at Downtown's Finest getting the 3-2-1 on Rob over here, tattoo artist, known all over the place. And it's just a blessing to be able to be here and be able to talk to him, kind of find out where he comes from, where he's been, where he's going. But again, congrats. How you doing, Rob?
Hey.
Nice to see you, bud.
Good to see you.
As I said, we're here to get the 3-2-1 on what it is that you do, where you've been, where you're going. But before we get into all that you do right now, where did it start? Where did you come from?
I grew up on the Lower East Side of Spokane, Washington, where I learned to tattoo with my brother Daniel. I kept pushing forward from there. I wanted to be a cartoonist, but tattooing landed in my lap and made a lot more money doing that. I just kept on running with it. It was one of those things where, like I said, it just landed in my lap, and I just kept moving forward with it. Hadn't stopped. I tattooed all over the United States. I went to Oregon for a while, and California, and I went to North Dakota for a bit.
North Dakota.
I've tattooed in Hawaii. I've tattooed all over. But Florida became home. But it took me a good 20 years to get here.
Okay.
Yeah, but I finally made it. This is a good spot. I like it. Yeah.
So when you say you're a cartoonist, what kind of cartoons when you were younger? Obviously you doodled a lot. What kind of cartoons were you into versus now?
So my favorite cartoons that you could see on TV were Hanna-Barbera cartoons. It's like Wacky Races, Top Cat, all those guys.
Right.
And I remember watching Disney for the first time.
Right.
And I was young. It was a show called The Rescuers. And I paused the video, and I see the little lines in the animation, and I go, oh, they draw them? And I asked my dad about it, and he's like, yeah, you sit there, you draw, and he shows me, he makes a flip book, and I go, oh, I can do this.
Right.
So I learned how to replicate the same image over and over and over again with little modifications to it. Imagine that, it transfers right over to tattooing. So
right.
Well, hey, can you do this? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. What do you think?
Yeah.
It works out great. I still make killer flip books, but Pixar came out with Toy Story. And I was a pretty poor kid, so no computer for me. And no formal training with computers or any of that, so it just didn't happen. I just kept tattooing. And it was a good thing. It was a really good thing. I would much rather do this than that.
Right.
Yeah. I still make killer flip books though.
I'm glad you do. It's awesome to see though. Like one of the things that I find the most in people who are happy or find themselves to be successful is they're simply just following something they're passionate about. Right. And you talk about the cartoons and how it segues into being a tattoo artist.
Right.
And the trade itself. So from where you started to now, what are the biggest changes you've seen? Because we're talking what, early 90s?
Yeah, it was the late 90s, and everything was different. Everything was very different. I've been watching the tattoo industry transform over the last 24 years, and it's been wild. It has been wild. We went from tattooing in like 1850 basically to tattooing in 2055, and that's been over the last, I don't know, probably 10 years?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 15 years, something like that. Yeah, it's been a big change. I remember one of the big things that changed for me was when I switched over to Rotary. I was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I bought a swash drive whip from Australia, Dave Wraith, that was his name. It changed everything instantly. We had always stayed away from Rotary because, it's what convicts use and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stigma on it from the old guys. It worked, and it worked better.
Right.
So I started running with that, and my artwork's quality increased steadily, and now we're here.
And it's one of the things you have to do constantly, though, is invest in yourself and invest in all the things that help you create a better outcome with your craft. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
One of the things that I absolutely admire, and you know, I'm 43 years old, so I've been around a while, and I know a lot of people who are tattoo artists and stuff like that. And number one, it's the insane amount of number one patience you have to have.
Right.
You know, and it's just constantly just going down, constantly. But one of the things that I don't hear enough about, and I'd like you to touch on it, is what are some of the things that you wish people getting a tattoo would understand about your side of it that would make it easier for tattoo artists to do what they gotta do? And, you know, anything from, you know, sanitation to you know, even staying still. I mean, obviously staying still.
Right.
But what do you think, what do you wish they knew?
I think, man, that's a hard one.
I like to come up with hard questions. Get in there.
Let your artists do their job.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. Do your research. You know, don't go on to Facebook and be like, who's the best tattoo artist in town? Like, forget that. Like, go out, pound pavement, look at portfolios.
Right.
You know, well, I guess you don't have to pound pavement anymore. It's 2022. So go look at portfolios. Find the artist that does what you want. Know that tattoos are expensive. All this stuff right here costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's why the tattoos are expensive. Plus, it's an investment for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, hold still. Don't drink the day before, and don't show up loaded. Tip your artist. Tip your artist. It's a service. We do have a trade, but it is a service. So yeah, 20%, man. Start there. And well, this is a good one. Take a bath. Shower before you come in. Jeez.
I bet that would help the tattoo go smoother too.
Yeah, absolutely.
For everybody involved.
Yeah, everybody involved. Doesn't make the shop smell funny. Makes my job easier because I ain't got to clean your funky butt. All that. Man, what else?
One thing that I did want to touch on was you were talking about pounding the pavement, looking at the profiles and stuff. Be very careful, and I'll tell you right now. I've had one in particular. They went Pensacola's my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And they went on Facebook and they asked about, you know, tattoo artists and stuff. And a bunch of people went on there and they said the whole piece or whatever. And they ended up going with the cheapest option. Now,
Right.
I'm not saying the cheapest is bad, but what I'm saying is that when they decided to go based on pictures that that person had posted.
Right.
Later it was found out it wasn't their pictures.
Not the pictures. Yeah.
So if that person, I'm not going to say who it was, but if that person had just gone and looked at the work that was done,
Right.
or talked to people who had work done on them,
Right.
been a different story.
Totally different story.
And I don't want to say it was an absolutely horrible tattoo, but they ended up getting a cover up.
Right. Right.
Right.
That's
So they
a
paid
lot.
twice.
That's the last thing. Do not price shop for tattoos. Don't do that. Like that is one, you're gonna really aggravate some of us. We're gonna be like, all right, we'll get on out of here because you ain't shopping here. Two, trying to get the best deal on your tattoo is like trying to get the best deal on your lawyer, your stockbroker, trying to get the best deal on the guy who's gonna fix your car. All that, like, these are important things. This is the rest of your life. So don't I'm not saying don't be price conscious, but don't pigeonhole yourself into the best deal, because good tattoos aren't cheap and cheap tattoos are not good.
Yeah.
And that is a fact. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, 100%. And you gotta support local.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times, you know, you have these chain places that come in because they have a TV show and they become famous.
Right.
And then you end up going, wait a minute, I know a guy that could do a better job down the road.
Right.
I had just gone, but now you're already kind of stuck in the chair, so to speak.
Pigeonholed.
Yeah. So now, one of the things that I do love to kind of showcase and highlight is giving back to the community.
Okay.
You know, and the things that anybody can do. And it's not always about money. And it could be time, it could be a trade, it could be anything. So what are some of the things that you like to do to be able to give back in your own special way?
I've done volunteer work for the last 10, 12 years.
Okay.
It's always been really quiet up until this last endeavor I took on with Kim Curry. Did an interview
Yeah.
with her. Yeah, it'll be up soon. At A New Life International. In there, I do everything I can, but primarily I help do cover up tattoos for the brands that are put on the victims of human trafficking. It's just a service I provide, you know, because I have a talent and it's something easy I can do, you know. It feels good, you know. I've been doing mental health stuff for the last almost decade now, just working on myself personally, and like that volunteer thing has always come up. That was actually where it started. And it does, man. It just feels good. You know, you're doing something as opposed to just sitting around soaking up dollars and sending them out to, you know, whoever the power company is.
And we're not just trying to feed ourselves; we're trying to feed our souls too.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do that, and then I do the downtown clean team. That's every other week. I come down on Sunday and we just run around with trash bags and little helping hands and just clean up, you know. And what else? I don't know. If there's anything else, you'd have to ask my community. They'd probably have a lot more to say about it than I just do what I do, you know. And they're like, "Oh, Robbie's the best guy," and I'm like, "Hey, you gotta stop lying."
But if you notice, one of the things you're talking about is a bunch of people doing little by little, and it makes them on a larger scale, it's more impactful. You know, it's just like when you come down and you pick up the little things. Because I don't know, I used to work over at the dump, and there were so many times when you would just see people throw stuff off, but then I'm like, "Yo, pick it up. There's a trash can, 5
right
people
there.
here."
Yep.
You know, just little things like that, and then people want to say, "Oh, it's the homeless people." These are homeless people. I didn't see them throwing trash.
Right.
I see them going through trash, but I see them throwing trash.
Yeah,
you know,
throwing trash.
but yeah, it's those little things. Now, one of the things that I was very happy to hear about is you recently signed on with Sound Collective.
Oh yeah, I'm a brand ambassador for Sullen Art Collective. I also got sponsored by Dead Raven Tattoo Supply. Thank you, Tony. You're the man.
Yeah.
And there was one other one in there. I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's right. Doing a TV show, Edge and Ink. That'll be surrounding the tattoo shop and the barber shop all in one, which is really, really good. So yeah, there's big irons in the fire right now.
Right,
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens with all of it. I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh man.
Yeah, Sullen was an honor. Absolutely. I've been trying to really, really push on that one for a while now. And then Dead Raven. I can't say enough good things about Tony. Tony's the man. He's been tattooing for 1 million years. He's got a vision, and he is setting goals and smashing them every day. Like, I am very proud to be on that team. It's going to be a really good thing. We're going to do.
So that kind of helps raise the bar for yourself as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And accountability.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, working closely with these guys. I always try to maintain a very specific level when I'm out and about in the public. Not even in the public, even at home.
Right.
I try to maintain a certain level, just to be a good person, you know. But that pushes it just a little bit further, which is good. It's good. It's good. I like it. You know, now I got to shave every day for a reason. Yeah.
So when you're not tattooing though, so what do you do around here? I mean, we're obviously here on the Space Coast. You're downtown Melbourne, but places you like to go eat, places you like to go, things you like to go do. When you're not, I mean, I know this probably takes up a lot of your time, but
I live at work.
At least you're happy though.
Yeah, well, you know, you can ask my girlfriend. She's like, "You work too much," and well, everybody says they say you work too much. And, you know, they're right. I live here. My apprentice lives here too, so like I don't actually live in the tattoo shop. I have a house. It's back over that way. It's a good house. But I spend all my free time here. When I do go eat, though, I eat primarily downtown because it's where I'm at. Amber and Oak, I go there a couple times a week. Really good food, really good food. A lot of people complain about the price, but it's top notch. I love it.
Oh, it is good.
And then the owners and the management actually, they did a sizable donation for A New Life International. So that's always been really good, and it was because it was because they saw me in there and they were like, "Oh, hey, you know." And then where else do I go? I go down to Crush 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I always get their catch of the day. I love that thing, man. It's a great plate. Where else? Backwater. Actually, now that I think about it, I ordered backwater this morning. It's sitting on the counter.
Nah.
I forgot to grab it. Yeah, you want to grab that for me?
Since you're here.
Thank you, Logan.
By the way, when I'm pointing at nobody, there's somebody actually over there,
Yeah,
okay?
my apprentice is over there.
It's going to be just as good as it was to us.
Where else? I always get my cigars at Executive Cigar from Tony. A lot of my clothes, like my personal clothes. My work clothes are always stolen because that's like, there's a lot of pictures that go on here and stuff like that. And I'm supposed to do stuff for them. So yeah, they provide clothes for me. When I'm not working, when you catch me in just my regular clothes, I get a lot of them from Ezra Lamore. Right across from the Foo Bar, man. Linda is an amazing woman, and Chris is a great guy too. They have that little shop down there. It's a fashion house, so to speak, and it is absolutely amazing. Linda's a great client of mine, so is Chris too.
Nice.
But I buy a lot of clothes there, a lot of jewelry and stuff. I always get my records there. Actually, I think.
Wait a minute, they got records too?
Yeah, they got records.
I'm huge into vinyl.
Really?
Yeah, I gotta turn around and get another turntable because I don't have mine anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I'm huge into vinyl.
Yeah.
The sounds you can get out of there.
Massive collection of vinyl at home.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I like rare vinyl too. That's been my thing.
My brother, interesting story. My brother, when again, I'm from Pensacola,
Right.
and there was a estate sale about 5 houses down. I was at work and he calls me up at work and he goes, "Hey, bro, I need somebody with a truck. I just bought a cabinet."
Ooh.
I was like, "A cabinet or what?" I don't really know, but the cabinet's really awesome.
Yeah.
But it's locked.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But it's too heavy. So I said, all right. So I got off work. I got a buddy of mine with a truck. We brought it over.
Right.
So we're sitting there and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to blowtorch this." I was like, no. So you don't know what's in it. You know, so we're thinking. And another buddy of mine had one of those, it's like a crowbar thing with a snipper thing.
Oh, okay.
So he cracks it in and slaps it. It was all vinyls. Original Beatles White Album.
Heavy.
It was, dude. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And then we had to, because you can't just pick it up and put it on the back of the truck.
Right.
We had to slide, even though it was 5 houses down.
Right.
We had to slide. It was so heavy.
I bet.
But yeah, vinyl. It's interesting you say that.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, White Album, Creedence Clearwater Revival, I like all the old stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're into vinyls, man. That's it.
Yeah, I love vinyl. That's.
And where did you say to get them from again?
Ezra Lamore. It's right
Ezra
here
Lamore.
downtown
Ezra
on
Lamore.
New Haven. Across from Foo Bar, right next door to the Burger Place. It's another place I eat. I love the Burger Place. They got that grass.
Love the Burger Place.
Oh man, that's really good. And where else? Oh, Helen Blazes. I eat a lot of Helen Blazes. Yeah. I don't really drink, so, but the brewery is really good food. Yeah, that's usually where I go for food.
So where do you go when you just want to take a break from it all? Because sometimes you just gotta cut off. You
That's
know?
my
If you
secret.
don't, okay.
I can't tell people where I go when I need a break, otherwise they'll show up there and be like, "Hey, can I get a tattoo? How much is that?" I'm like, "Oh no." No, I do.
I understand.
I take my breaks. I take my breaks at home. That's my little safe house. You know, there's not a lot of people know where I live. I don't have little get-togethers and stuff like that. You know, that's me and my girl and our dogs, and that's our little safe spot. You know, she's a paramedic and just knows people, knows lots and lots of people. So it's like we have very public lives that we need to isolate ourselves from, so we can just have us time. And that's usually where we do it. I do have one little hidey hole down here that I go to, but once again, I can't tell you.
You can only catch them here. Anywhere else is a no-go.
Yep.
So when you were talking about the Selling Collective for a minute, I have one item that's on layaway, because they have every size but mine.
Right.
So so when you were talking about that, Are you gonna have a link for people that go on the post that they can go on and try to get whatever they can from Film Collective?
You can go onto the website and get whatever you want. And then when you're checking out, there's a little spot for a discount code. You can put my name in, RAWBURT13, Raw Burt 13. It'll get you 15% off anything site-wide. And then hopefully here in the near future, I should have a shirt coming out. That'd be really cool. We can get that going. I'm starting to push artwork into them and say, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. A lot of
So what was the idea behind Sullen Collective?
Sullen?
Because I know a lot of the stuff looks like tattoos.
Oh yeah. It's primarily tattoo artists, you know, and it's just an outlet for their art to get out to everybody who, you know, may not have access to them as a tattoo artist, whether that be for financial reasons or geographic reasons, whatever. You know, it's like Terry Rivera, love that guy. Phenomenal oil painter, phenomenal tattoo artist, San Diego, California, Remington Tattoo down in the Gaslamp District. Go see him. I couldn't get tattooed by him because I wasn't on the West Coast anymore, and the timelines that we had didn't work out. So instead, I went ahead and I bought one of his shirts, and then I bought a pair of his underwear, and then I bought some of his socks, and I'm waiting for him to put out a hat. Terry, put out a hat. I need one. It's a way to let artists be artists, and that's what it is. Like, you know, you see a lot of things that are like, you know, such and such clothing company, and Sullen is the art collective. Is subtly different. It's a bunch of guys, you know, just trying to feed their kids and do it with cool art.
Right.
Yeah, and it's something, you know, I've always been on board with. I've been a Sullen fanboy for years and years and years. And it's cool. It's really nice to be working with those guys now. I like it a lot.
You know, one of the things that I and again, I know a lot of tattoo artists and stuff like that. One of the things that I don't think people realize is that at the end of the day, you guys are artists.
Yeah.
You know, just like a painter is a painter.
Yeah.
Just like a sculptor is a sculptor.
100%.
You know, when I was a bit younger and I used to go out and party and all that stuff all the time. Some of them would get off late and we'd go hang out downtown.
Oh yeah.
And I remember one time, and it was one of the only times when I just got really enraged because not only are they saying stupid stuff, but it's my boys, you know.
Right.
And they were like, all you do is, what did you say? All you do is wet paper of other lines and draw. Or sketch. Oh no, sketch.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
There's
and it's
so much more to it.
yeah. You know, so on the art side of things, when somebody brings you a piece of art and says, like, for example, let's say they bring you a butterfly or whatever it is, right? And they say, is there any way you can make it your own?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you pick up about the people that help you create something to make it their own?
So,
you know, like read the room kind of a thing.
There's two ways I go about it.
Okay.
The first thing I do is I always sit down and talk to you a little bit. I feel you out, you know. I do a little bit of interrogation, a little light interrogation to figure out who you're at, who you are, where you're at, where you're from, what you're into, all of that stuff. And then I'll base a piece of artwork off of that. But right after I do that little brief interview, I ask you, I say, now, do you want me to make this for you, or do you want a piece of what I do? You want to just let me do my thing? And when they say, I just want you to do your thing, I'm like, oh yes. Because then it's going to have lots of black in it, bold color, you know, depending on if you want color or not. Like Goose's tattoo. That's a prime example. Like, you give me a piece that you want, and I look at it and I go, okay, cool, I can do that. And then I say, it's like, can I do this but better? You go, yeah, absolutely. So I go, okay, cool, let me do this, but we're gonna put it on steroids. Yeah, and that's what I do, you know.
And you definitely did.
It's always oversaturation in everything. That's just my style. When you let me do my thing. But realistically, you know, I've been tattooing for 24 years now. There isn't really anything I don't do anymore.
Right.
There's lots of stuff that I'm not the best at. Well, I'm not the best at any of it, actually. But there's stuff that I'm better at than others, absolutely. I just like tattooing. I like doing art.
Right.
I paint on the side. I do watercolor and acrylic on canvas. I'm dipping into oil now. I do sculpting. build custom Harleys. I do a lot of stuff art-wise.
So so touching on what you just said about, there isn't really anything you don't do. Because a lot of people don't know this, and this is something that when I found out, I said, hold on, what? There's different styles to tattoo. Now, I've known this for a while now, but when I first found out, I said, wait a minute, there's styles to this?
Yeah.
And the guy who told me this also told me in the same sentence, he said, yeah, just like, because he was a huge anime fan.
Right.
He's like, yeah, just like, anime? Yogi Berra.
Right.
Different stuff. And I went, oh, wait a minute. Okay,
Yes,
all right,
yes,
that makes
yes,
sense,
Yes.
So, if you could, I don't want to say favorite style, but the style that when you look at it, you go, just kind of like a painter or something like that. So, what kind of style do you vibe with the most?
My favorite style, even though you said it's not favorite, my favorite style is traditional Japanese. That's what I learned first. Yeah, I studied traditional Japanese for the first 5 years of my career as a professional tattoo artist. That's my jam. That is my jam, man. After that, it's followed closely by neo-traditional. I follow a Instagram page from Spain. It's a neo-traditional Spain. And I get a lot of inspiration from those guys. My style is somewhere in between traditional Japanese and European neo-traditional. But then because I'm from the West Coast and spent so much time, in the Emerald Triangle up there, like I got a lot of black and gray fine line stuff that came out of that end of my career. And then when I went to California, like it all exploded. I was tattooing with all the Mexican guys, and I was learning lettering and black and gray and doing lots of like Danny Trejo Sombrero Girl, kind of like old English lettering across the chest and lowriders and pimples and all that stuff. Man, I loved it. I live for that stuff. That's probably the stuff I do best. But traditional Japanese, probably that's the one.
So if you're into that kind of stuff, you know a guy now.
Yeah, I do everything. Like it's as a specialty, I specialize in cover up and repair. That's what I do best, hands down in tattooing. I can eliminate anything. But as far as the style goes that I specialize in, I'm from a generation where you had to be a well-rounded tattoo artist. There wasn't Instagram, there wasn't Facebook. You couldn't just be like, check out these 500 traditional roses that I did, because I do traditional roses, and everybody in the world comes to me for traditional roses. I couldn't do that. We couldn't do that. One of my teammates here and I were the same age in tattooing. And we look at these guys and we go like, how do you pay your bills? And when you think about it, it's like it's social media. Like you have the ability to just put that out there to the entire world that this is what you do. So the entire world comes to you for that. And we didn't have that. So I had to learn portraits. I had to learn black and gray. I had to learn new school, old school, traditional, Japanese, neo-trad Japanese, neo-traditional. The list goes on and on and on. Trash polka, black work, dot work, blah, blah, blah. All of it. All of it. I do all of it. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I prefer it that way. I know that my apprentices, I've only had a couple, and I believe in quality over quantity when it comes to that in my industry. But all of my apprentices are very well-rounded tattoo artists. Yeah, there's a couple of them that specialize, and that's what they do. But if you were to toss them into a street shop like we have here, and just set them down in a station and say, you got the next walk-in, they'll handle it every time. Yeah, every time. It'll be a good tattoo. So,
and there's a lot of effort that goes into, because a lot of people think that when you get an apprentice, you just tell them a couple things and then let them run. But there's also, your name is on the apprentice, and so they're always going to be shout outs down the road, and stuff like that. But when you're doing those kind of things, speaking of apprentices, I should say, if somebody wants to be a tattoo artist and they want to learn how to get into the game, where do you suggest that they would start with to get into tattooing? Not that everybody should, because it's not a
tattoo. See, so I had a conversation the other day about this actually, and the conversation was that my generation and the generation that taught me are gatekeeping the industry, and they're going, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to oversaturate the industry, and it's too late. Tattoo TV blew that up. There's literally 2 tattoo shops right here in this building. That never would have happened when I was learning to tattoo. Somebody would have got their hands broken, a bomb would have got thrown in somebody's shop, something horrific.
That's the other side of tattooing.
Right, yeah. Well, it's different now. It's different. Tattooing has become very civilized. We went from, your stereotypical, I don't want to say Nazi biker tattoo shop because that's where I grew up. That's what they are, is they're Nazi biker tattoo shops. With the attitude to get a tattoo or get the F out, to welcome to my fine art gallery that just happens to tattoo. Let me give you your first tattoo on your throat of your vegan bicycle. That's just the way it is, As I'm looking at it going like, this is cool, I like this, But then there's other people in my industry who are of specific tattoo ages, like me, that go, it's like, whatever. The future is now, Grandpa. So get on or get out of the way. As far as learning to tattoo, do art and be happy, and prepare for failure. Lots and lots of failure. That's going to be a thing. You're going to suck, and you're going to suck right out the gate. I sucked at tattooing for 10 years, and then I finally started, figuring things out. Do your research once again. Go look at portfolios. After you figure out who does what you want to learn how to do, go hang out with that person. Go in, buy work from them, get tattooed by them, and get a lot of tattoos from them, so you can see and have a foundation to build off of. And then after a while, just be like, hey, I want to do this. You mind letting me hang around? And then you hang around for a while, you pick up a mop and a broom, and away you go. Yep. There's other ways to go about it now. There's tattoo schools, they're dotted all over the world, not very many of them. Because I come from that quality over quantity thing, I don't know how I feel about them. I know I have a curriculum that I wrote for the apprentices many years ago. And it seems to be pretty rock solid, but it's stout. Like, it's a curriculum. Right. This is 2 years of education. This is a college education. Right. And not that I'm a professor in tattooing or anything like that,
but experience speaks for something, though.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, I have the experience.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right. I know the tricks. I know the people. I know the equipment. I know all of it now. And I try to stay on the cutting edge, just for the apprentice's sake, because it's like I had one apprentice bring me something. And they were like, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "I've never even heard of that." And they were all like, "The future is now, Grandpa." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And as I take out my phone, I start looking at stuff to learn how to use it.
I'm actually a grandpa. Even though Thanks a lot.
I'm not a grandpa yet. Give me time. More often than not, when people ask me, how do I become a tattoo artist? I tell them, don't do it. Don't do it.
Really?
Oh yeah. I have sacrificed everything over and over and over again for this toolbox. I've burned it all to the ground a handful of times just to keep pushing forward because I love this job.
Right.
I've turned my back on everything over and over and over again just because I want to stay late and do that piece of artwork. Because I love art. That's what I do, And I found a medium that, is financially stable, is permanently challenging, constantly evolving, with no glass ceiling. You will never get to the top of this. You can't. It's not possible.
Is it because it's constantly evolving? Or is it because...
It's because it's constantly evolving. It's because it goes so far. There are so many different things. It's because it's art, You can be at the top of your game, but you will never be at the top of the game. It just won't happen. So, and that's awesome for me because it provides me unlimited challenge. I will never stop climbing because that's the person I am. I want to be at the top of something. I don't care what it is. I just want to be at the top of it, and I found something with an unattainable top. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm racing my apprentice right now. He's trying to go to the top, and I'm like, all right, I'll see you there. And he's like, whatever, Grandpa, I'll see you there. They call me Grandpa Tattoo Face. It's funny. He's always saying, I'll see you at the top. And I'm like, I'll see you at the top. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
I mean, it's funny for everybody to read,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 8 billion people on the face of the planet. 500,000 of us are tattoo artists. Yeah, that's fine.
One of the things that I and again, from when I was younger, and kind of like those moments where you go, hold up, everything's not what it appears to be, is I remember I was at the beach, and I was dating a girl at the time, and she was bringing some friends and stuff like that, and one of them was a lawyer. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, and I'd seen the person was well known, and I'd seen them and stuff like that, very clean cut, high, with the military, and he shows up, and he took off, it was covered from here, right underneath the collar, all the way. Oh yeah. He had some work and one of his things, which I didn't even know this was a thing, but he traveled the world a lot. He was in the military. Yeah. So when he would go to one of his favorite pieces was he went to New Zealand, and he was telling me about how they do this thing with a needle and a hammer thing. Yeah, it's like this. Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, I'd never had that before. I was in New Zealand, figured I might as well get it. And I was like, wow. I said, yeah, but he had to be friends with the locals before because if you just show up and somebody and they're like, Wahili or whatever they call them. Right. So just kind of different stuff. You can't make assumptions about people at all. You can't. And even now, I know back in the day in the churches and stuff, they would look, if you came in all tatted up, they're like, now it's like, welcome. You know what I mean? Become a lot more accepted. So in the acceptance of things and in the mainstream of it, because it's no longer just the bad boys getting the tattoos, I mean, they get them obviously as well. But, how have you seen the shift in how people are treated, I should say? Because back when I was growing up, and again, Pensacola, Florida, or Hialeah, Miami, outside of Miami, if somebody would have walked down the streets all tatted up, the mothers would pull their kids. Right. So, nowadays, it's like, oh, can I go see that? And they're like, oh yeah, let's go ask them. It's like the conversation's really different. Yeah.
I wish it was like that globally, and I wish there was more of it, but there's actually not. I still walk into, JCPenney's to go buy some pants, and it happens. I'm tall, dark, tattooed. I have face tattoos, and it's funny because it is so prevalent now, but that stigma is still there. It's not as big as it used to be. Right. It used to be everybody. Now it's not quite everybody, and you go, okay, well it's a step. Right. We'll see. It's still early, I know a couple of guys in my peer group do what you do. They do real estate, and they're from here down, all the way down, and they're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. And I'm going that's a sign. That's a sign because these guys are doing 100,000. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in deals, sometimes millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars in deals, and they look like me. And I go, all right, now we're getting somewhere. But there's other things, there was a young lady I tattooed. She was getting ready to go to med school, and she was tattooed all the way down, all the way up right here to the collarbone. There was a function she went to, her sleeve came up ever so slightly, and then the conversation started. And none of the schools in the state would accept her because she was heavily tattooed. Yeah, and I was like, why are you gatekeeping knowledge? Why are you gatekeeping medicine? Why are you gatekeeping careers based on appearances? We had a whole movement about this in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, just because you look like that doesn't mean you aren't that. So it's stupid.
And a lot of it's assumptions that like one of my favorite things about seeing tattoos is when there's a story behind it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Every tattoo has a story behind it.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's a good story.
Right.
But everyone does.
And when I see people kind of, I'm like, you're judging that person's story and you don't even know it yet.
Right.
And I'm kind of like,
Right.
I just can't judge that. Well, that is one of the things that I am very happy about as far as seeing people with tattoos, is that oftentimes there's an expression that a person wants to express, or whatever it be, and now it's there. Like, for example, my daughter, when she lost her mom to suicide, she got a tattoo that was close and dear to her. That was a very simple tattoo,
Right.
but not simple emotionally for her at all.
Right. Right.
You know, but it hurts.
Right.
And I told her, and she was like, "Well, if somebody said," I said, "You don't know nobody, damn it. You
No.
don't, no reason, you don't,
Nothing at all.
you don't even have to say nothing.
Nope.
That's yours."
Yeah.
You know? So how many times when people come in and they say, you know, I lost my, like for example, the pink ribbon and stuff like that, and I gotta imagine that has to take up quite a bit of when people come in and they say, hey, and then they start talking to you about their stories, and the way for you to relate to them.
Right.
You know? So in what way are you able to pass the wisdom of, you've been doing this for what, 20-something years?
24 years.
Yeah, so when people come in and you see that they're going through something, or you hear they're going through something, or whatever, it's like when Goose was here and he got into the argument about anime, and then it just turned into the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
How much do you think that contributes to you being able to have that conversation with that person? Because a lot of times, not just an artist, but also a therapist, you know, and I've seen it happen.
Oh man, so tattoo artists are like, what was it was a cartoon, Dr. Katz, that's what it was. It was on Comedy Central back when I was a kid. Tattoo artists are a lot like barbers and hairdressers, and bartenders. People come in and they talk about what they're going through and all that stuff. I'm in the middle of building a small channel that is just dad advice. That's all it is. You know, it's stuff like start on the outside and work your way in at a fancy dinner when it comes to your flatware. You take the girl out, walk on the outside, you know, and know the simple things, that it's not like here's the example. So you walk on the outside of a lady when you're going out and about, you're downtown, right? Do you know why you walk on the outside?
For the cars and everything.
It has nothing to do with the damn cars. Really? Nothing to do with them at all. It comes from France. And when the lady walks on the outside, she is for sale. She is a prostitute. You walk on the outside to signify that she is not. She is not open. She is not there for the taking. That is not going to happen.
I didn't know that.
Now you know. See, dad advice. Yeah. So it'll be little stuff like that. And I give a lot of that. I give a lot of that to my clients. You know, I'm only 37, but I have very high mileage. Right. I've done a lot of things. My bucket list has very few empty boxes on it, which is good. It's really good.
That is.
Yeah. And
so what's still on the bucket list then?
Oh,
that you're willing to share?
Yeah, there's some things on there.
Like for example, I want to see a concert at the Red Rocks in Colorado.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm trying to think. What do I have?
I know that's why I want to use it. So figure, right?
Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yeah. I want to tattoo my mother. I want to tattoo my daughter.
And where are they right now? Are they local or no?
No, my mother lives in Washington, and I actually haven't seen my daughter for some time. But that's a different story for a different time. I want to complete therapy. That's on my bucket list. Yeah. I've been in therapy for years now, and I'm still not satisfied with where I'm at.
Well, we keep going with people, you know. You know, when I was when I was coming up, and a lot of times as a parent, you kind of kick yourself about a lot of things.
Right.
Especially, and one of the things that I always had to try to catch myself on, it's like we were talking about earlier, and the guy that I was talking to that said, you know, people aren't giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. And one of the things that I had to also learn was, even though I was a parent, I was still growing up.
Right.
You know, I'm still growing up now, I'm 43 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And that's one of the things that I wish I had known back then, rather than thinking that I had the answers and trying to figure out as I went along, you know.
Right.
And now, if I had just gone, wait a minute, I don't know the answers, I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, it kind of sucks, but it's also kind of, in hindsight, kind of thing. But, you know, you do with what you got.
I think that would be two good things to add to the bucket list. One is to never stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that should go on your bucket list. Never stop growing. So the day you die, if you can check that box, you won. And another one would be, I can't remember if it was the Who or the Rolling Stones, but the lyric is, I hope I never die old. I think that's an important.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's an important one. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being 90, going like, yeah, I still feel like I'm 40,
Right.
or 30, or whatever.
You know, I just saw the Rolling Stones in Tampa.
Nice.
I came back, it was kind of weird without the drummer.
Well, things change. People die.
Yeah.
They're old.
You know, I always say, you know, I never get sad when people die. I'm always glad that I got to know them. It's kind of a weird. People think, oh, that's a little morbid. And I'm like, really?
No.
I'm glad I got to meet them. You know,
Right.
it sucks they're gone, but.
Right. Well, I mean, you're supposed to celebrate your faith. Why don't you celebrate life? But,
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh yeah, when I die, I'm having a Viking funeral.
Yeah.
I've already gotten it cleared.
Nice.
If you show up to a Viking funeral, don't act like you don't know why you're there. I don't know. So where do you see yourself going in the future? Because we kind of talk about the past, where you're at now. Where do you see yourself going from here?
To be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. To make my family proud of me.
Right.
Yeah, outside of that, I don't care.
Nothing else matters, doesn't it? Does not matter.
Where am I going in the future? I'm not going anywhere. I love Florida. I am actually very upset that it took me so many years to get here. I think I got to Florida when I was like 30-ish.
Okay.
And yeah, I was ticked off that it took me that long to get here. I should have just came here right out the gate.
You absolutely should have.
I absolutely should have. Yeah, I could have put a lot more dents in all this stuff than I have in the last few years if I started then. But it was like this one time, guy gets shot. He's like, oh, I can't believe that guy shot me. The guy looks at me and says, "You're living in the past." It's the same thing, living in the past. I shouldn't. It's too late for shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're here now.
Right.
Yeah. So be an arrow. Arrows only travel forward. They never move backwards. The arrow also teaches us something. The only way out is through. What's the arrow? You guys gonna answer that? Gotta let her ride. So the arrow also teaches us another thing. Once the arrow pierces you, you cannot pull it back out. It never travels backwards. The only way out is through. Right. So always forward, and the only way out is through. That is the way. So with that in mind, yeah, where is my future? My future is forward. That's my future is forward, my future is through. Right now I'm in the middle of some pretty big things, and there's a lot of hard fights in front of me.
Anything worth it, you would have to, yeah.
That's it, yeah. Everything that's worth it is worth the fight. But yeah, forward. That's the future for me. So anywhere but right here.
Right here in downtown Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not right here in downtown Melbourne, but like in my life where I'm at. Anything but right here. That's just the next step.
Right.
Yeah, another brick on the wall. And just keep building, keep moving forward. Embrace the suck some days. Celebrate the others.
Right.
Rock and roll, man.
You know, I love that you said what you said about the embrace the suck, because when I was growing up, I used to think that if something sucked, I did something wrong, and it was always, And then later on in life, I realized that there's a lesson to learn here.
Yeah.
So just learn the lesson.
That's it.
You know, so I kind of look at that, and it's just kind of, you know, kind of when you watch the kids, right? And they do everything without a care in the world because they don't know what could happen.
Right.
They haven't had that feeling instilled in them.
Right.
And at that moment, and then even at times when they do have something like they fall out of a tree or something, I've fallen out more than I can count.
Oh yeah.
You know, you learn to grab onto that branch a little harder or to check it before you grab it, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if everybody just dwindled in the suck, they would never learn. They would
Right.
keep doing the same thing,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And then that becomes a trend. And I always say in my house, don't let it become a trend.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Don't let that become a trend.
Yeah, so, well, I know that I've taken up a bit of your time, and I know that you have appointments coming.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I got away. I didn't even realize there'd been this much time. It was
It's
just
all
fun.
good.
It was a lot of fun.
This was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I'm here. I'm Henry Mims, the deaf occasion you know. I'm here with Rob, downtown finest, and here in Melbourne, Florida.
Yes.
If you need anything art related, tattoo work, anything, reach out to him. I am going to have your Facebook and your Instagram on the
Yes.
post.
Perfect.
They'll be able to do that as well. And if
Okay.
you're watching this, share as much as you can.
Yeah.
The idea is to celebrate the locals and the local business, local entrepreneurs. And he's no different, doing a lot of great things, as you can see. So
Yes.
again, I appreciate you taking the time
Thank you,
to
Henry.
sit down and chat with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Next time we'll have to get you in my chair.
You will. All right, take care.